Welcome to the recap right here on Nigerian TV. You have to know the drill. This is where we everything that went down in Nigeria and beyond. Some stories made us proud, some left us heartbroken, while others just had us asking, how did we get here? So stick with us. We've got a lot to unpack right after the break. Stay with us.
Enhancing cybersecurity. As cyber attacks grow more sophisticated, cybersecurity technologies are evolving to defend against them. AI-driven threat detection systems, zero-trust architectures, and advanced encryption methods are becoming the new norm. However, keeping up with rapidly evolving threats is a challenge, especially for industries that handle sensitive data like finance and healthcare. The cybersecurity market is expected to reach $248.26 billion by 2024. But the constant need for innovation and adaptation means businesses need to stay vigilant.
So, we are starting on a lighter note. Burna Boy is in the headlines again, but this time for some greatest singers. Instead of chasing clouds or naming the usual suspect, he said SAHEED, OSUPA, and yes, Fuji, not Afrobeat, not international stars, but Fuji. And that is what I like about this whole story. That is what I love about it. At a time when everyone thinks global is the only way, Burna Boy reminded us that local sounds built us. So Fuji isn't dead. It is still shaping our culture, even if it is not always the mainstream. But while Burna Boy was celebrating greatness, Nollywood had a reality check. Yes, this one stings. Nigeria officially has no film going to the 2026 Oscars. Out of 6 entries reviewed, none made the cut. So Stephanie Linus, who chairs the committee, basically said that Nollywood has grown, but we are not Oscar ready yet. It is sad because the stories are there. Nigeria knows how to tell powerful stories, but when it comes to international polish, structure, and technical depth, we keep falling short. So imagine the pride of seeing a Nigerian film on that Oscar stage again. But now it is back to the drawing board. And meanwhile, outside the world of film, oil workers were making their own kind of history. So you remember the big PENGASSAN strike? That is the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association. They downed tools after Dangote refinery suddenly laid off more than 800 workers. So Nigerian panicked because that strike had dropped. Fuel supply would have been a mess. Well, the good news is, after 2 intense days of meeting with government and Dangote management, the strike has been called off. So Dangote has agreed to reabsorb the workers into other companies within the group, and same pay, no victimization. So it is a win for labor, no doubt about that. So it also shows how fragile things are. One decision from one big player and suddenly thousands of lives are now in limbo. But while some families were celebrating job security this week, others were thrown into grief. And this particular story broke me. Somtochukwu Maduagu, many of you knew her as SOMMIE'S. So a 29-year-old anchor on Arise News, she was killed after a robbery attack at her home in Katampe, Abuja. She jumped in an attempt to escape, and then she survived that fall but still lost her life because there was no medical help. There was no urgent medical help. Her colleagues said it straight that her death was preventable. And that is the word that stings the most. Preventable. She wasn't just a journalist. That lady wasn't just a journalist on our screens. She was a young woman with her whole life ahead of her. Now she's gone, and we are left with one question. How many more young Nigerians have to die because our systems keeps failing? Well, may her gentle soul rest in peace. And then, just when you think you've cried enough, another story came that left Nigerians speechless. So imagine this. You work hard for years, finally called to bar. That should be the happiest week of your life. And that was the story of Peace Onyensom until it turned into a nightmare. On her way with her sister along Okene-Auchi Road, both of them were kidnapped. Now the kidnappers are demanding for 40 million naira. Instead of celebrating, her family is in panic. They are raising ransom and then begging for mercy. And this makes you wonder, is traveling in your own country now a gamble with your life? Now, this is the kind of conversation around security and government, and it shouldn't just be government press releases. It has to be real action. But let's breathe a little because it wasn't all gloom this week. Nigerians are still flying our flags high on the global stage. Nigeria extended warm congratulations to Guinea this week as the country celebrated its independence anniversary. Foreign Affairs Minister Yusuf Toga described the moment as not just Guinea's pride, but Africa's pride. He highlighted deep ties between both nations, pointing to their shared struggle and joint vision for African unity. And that is not just talk, because Nigeria is looking to deepen cooperation with Guinea in areas like trade, education, energy, and security under ECOWAS and the African Union. So this message goes beyond ceremony. It is Nigeria reminding the region that despite challenges, solidarity is still the key to Africa's future. So still on celebration, but this time it is about Dr. NGOZI OKONJO-IWEALA, our very own WTO boss, just added another feather to her already crowned cap. Cambridge University's Lucy Cavendish College honored her with an honorary fellowship. And get this, she already has 25 global awards, and at this point, she's basically a Hall of Fame on two legs. But beyond the numbers, her story is an inspiring one. A Nigerian woman breaking glass ceilings, commanding global respect. Every time her name is called, it is a reminder that Nigeria can produce excellence even when our local challenges try to drown that narrative. And lastly, when you talk about African creativity on the rise, MALIYO Games is flying the continent's flag on the global gaming industry. The studio behind this hits like Safari City, Crazy Ludo, and Hot King is getting recognition from giants like Apple and Google Play, proving that African stories deserve a global stage. But it is not just about games. Through its Game Up Africa program, MALIYO has trained over 6,000 young talents in coding, design, and sound. That is a pipeline of creators ready to shape the future of gaming, and not just Africa, but the whole world. And now, the big one is, December will see Lagos host MALIYO's Con 2025, a first-of-its-kind developer-led gaming conference. So, with creators, investors, and policymakers coming together, MALIYO isn't just playing the game, they are changing it. So, there you have it, from Burna Boy reminding us of Fuji's greatness to Nollywood missing the Oscars, from oil workers winning their fight, then to a heartbreaking loss of SOMMIE and the chilling adoption of Peace Onyensom. Then, Nigeria's diplomatic embrace of Guinea, the global pride of OKONJO-IWEALA, and finally, MALIYO Games, rewriting Africa's gaming story. It has been a week of highs and lows, joy and sorrow, wins and wounds, but that is Nigeria for you. Never a dull moment. I am Dara Okere, and this has been your recap on Idea TV. Until next time, keep the faith, keep the hope, and most importantly, keep the gist alive. Do not forget to follow us across all social media platforms at Idea Television. Thank you for watching.